Chapter 3450 Boom. When the terrifying energy covered the sky in front of the City Lord residence, it also announced the destruction of the entire city. What's happening over there? What's going on over at the City Lord residence? SSS, what's going on with that terrifying energy? As the terrifying energy swept across, all the citizens of the city looked over in shock. Everyone was discussing. There's also a strange situation over at Grand Marquis City. Hurry up and search over there. It's the same for them. It's true. According to the citizens of Grand Marquis City, all the experts in Grand Marquis City have disappeared. They might have been killed. SSS, how is this possible? Let's go and take a look. Due to the precedent of Grand Marquis City, the citizens quickly flew towards the City Lord residence. When they flew over, the situation was exactly the same as in Grand Marquis City. There was a dead silence around the City Lord residence. There was no sign of life and the surroundings were extremely strange. Their expressions changed drastically and they had a bad feeling about this. Swoosh. At this moment, a patch of yellow sand appeared in the sky. Greetings, City Lord. Seeing the appearance of the yellow sand, the surrounding people were shocked and immediately bowed respectfully. The yellow sand that filled the sky gradually condensed into a figure. This figure stared at the position of the City Lord residence, and his expression kept changing. Who is it? Who killed the experts of my sun-gathering city? Who is it? He roared ferociously, full of anger and indignation. Not long ago, he sensed that all his bloodline in sun-gathering city had disappeared. He sensed that all the spirit tablets of his subordinates had shattered. This made him extremely frightened. What kind of power could wipe out the experts of sun-gathering city in an instant? What exactly happened? The City Lord of sun-gathering city immediately formed a clone with the yellow sand and rushed over. The situation in sun-gathering city made him feel a chill in his heart. There was no trace of a fight in the surroundings. However, all the experts of sun-gathering city had been killed. Not even their corpses were left. How did the other party do it? This caused him to feel extremely terrified. City Lord, the same thing happened in Grand Marquis City. What's going on? A citizen of Gathering Sun City said with a face full of fear. Grand Marquis City, how is this possible? The City Lord of Gathering Sun City was slightly shocked. His true body that was far away in the God Nation immediately contacted the City Lord of Great Marquis City. What shocked him was that he couldn't contact the Grand Marquis City's Castellan. He knew very well what this meant. The Grand Marquis City Lord and the others are powerful magi, but they were killed. Eternal Heaven City, Grand Marquis City, and my Gathering Sun City. The next Light Guardian Dragon will be formed. Was it done by an expert from the ancestral dragon's lineage? The City Lord of Gathering Sun City immediately thought of something and his expression changed slightly. The other party came prepared. No, I have to report this matter to the 100 Cities Alliance. I have to report this matter to the City Lord of the Radiant Dragon City. He immediately reported his conjecture and the situation here to the 100 Cities Alliance and the Light Guardian Dragon City Lord. In fact, all the experts of the 100 Cities Alliance had participated in the war between the Sacred Dragon Bloodline and the Ancestral Dragon Bloodline. It was just that some cities had already taken action, while others had not. The experts of the 100 Cities Alliance had also come to an agreement. They would act in secret as much as possible and not expose themselves. The City Lord's message quickly reached the 100 Cities Alliance and the Light Guardian Dragon City. The Light Guardian Dragon City was situated on a light mountain range. The entire mountain range was like the back of a dragon, stretching over billions of kilometers. Located in the center of the Light Guardian Dragon City, the City Lord of the Light Guardian Dragon City saw the message from the City Lord of Gathering Sun City, and his expression changed drastically. How is this possible? In a day, all the experts from Eternal Heaven City, Grand Marquis City and Gathering Sun City were wiped out. This was definitely premeditated and targeted at our 4 cities. Is it because of the previous incident that we were exposed? Damn it, how did this happen? The City Lord's expression was extremely ugly as he stood up immediately. Men! You're here, do you already know? An unfamiliar voice could be heard, causing the city lord's body to tremble as he stared at the person in front of him. You, who are you? Who are you? Why did you kill us? His voice was trembling as he roared in a low voice. Eternal Heaven City and Grand Marquis City had been wiped out. These two cities had two First-Order Universe sovereigns. He knew that he was definitely not a match for this force. Because all of you deserve to die. Wang Xian entered the palace and said plainly. Voila. In the next instant, the unbeginning saint wings on his back flapped, and he instantly charged towards the city lord. Run, run, run. The city lord did not hesitate as he turned around and ran for his life. Boom. In the next instant, the dragon claws and the 5 elements grindstone attacked him. Along with them was the water tentacle king. The dragon city lord, the guardian of light, had no way of fighting back in front of them. A corpse was lying on the ground. Next, Wang Xian and the Spike Dragon and Venom Horn Dragon attacked the experts of Light Guardian Dragon City. The news of what happened in Grand Marquis City had already reached here. Therefore, Wang Xian could not cover the situation of the two cities. However, even though it took him some time to act personally, with the teleportation array shut down, he was not worried that reinforcements would arrive in a few hours or even a dozen hours. The reinforcements from the 100 Cities Alliance would not arrive so quickly. Run! Our Light Guardian Dragon City has also been invaded by a mysterious force. Run, run! An hour later, when the Spike Dragon's assassination was discovered by some experts, panic began to spread in the Light Guardian Dragon City. With what happened to the 3 major cities as an example, countless citizens fled in a frenzy. For hours later, after the heavenly array erased some traces, Wang Xian and the rest returned to the Dragon Palace. Since then, the 4 major cities had been destroyed within a day. 5 First-Order sovereigns were killed without a doubt. More than 95% of the elites, core experts, and disciples in the 4 major cities had died. The 4 major cities were completely destroyed. Even if it was Gathering Sun City, how could the city governor of Gathering Sun City alone support the entire city? The 4 major cities had been destroyed in such a short period of time that many citizens who were not part of the 100 Cities Alliance did not know about it. However, the news of the 4 major cities being destroyed in a single day spread like wildfire. Those were the 4 major cities of the 100 Cities Alliance. Each city was equivalent to an advanced race. However, they were all destroyed within a day, and only the city lord of Sun Gathering City survived. How frightening was this power? Chapter 3451. The Headquarters of the 100 Cities Alliance. Although the 100 Cities Alliance was only a loose alliance, they also had their own independent nest. It was a very special location. 108 mountain peaks towered into the clouds. These mountain peaks were close to each other, and were relatively close to each other. Beneath the mountains was a powerful defensive Blessed Grotto Heaven. This Blessed Grotto Heaven covered a total of 108 mountains. At the peak of each of the 108 peaks, there was a treasure hovering. A connate spiritual treasure. These connate spiritual treasures shone with each other. Their energy linked together to form a terrifying array. What kind of power was this array formed by 108 connate spiritual treasures? Coupled with this powerful defensive grotto heaven, if there was a third-order universe Lord Warlock guarding it, it would definitely have the power to resist a true universe lord. This was the headquarters of the 100 Cities Alliance. These connate spiritual treasures were all placed here by the various cities. At this moment, many figures were flying towards the central peak of the 108 mountain peaks. Alliance leader, something happened. Figures with powerful auras flew over and entered a cave abode. In the center of the cave abode, a figure sat in a lotus position. This figure had the head of a water dragon, a golden body, and a golden dragon tail. There were many strange patterns on his body. One look, and one could guess that this was a sorcerer. In the current universe, the best choice for a sorcerer to transplant a body was the divine dragon race, followed by the space beasts that were comparable to the pinnacle races. This was because the divine dragon bloodline no longer had any powerhouses. If a sorcerer dared to transplant the body parts of a powerhouse from the Phoenix clan, the Elite clan, or any other Apex clan, they would be killed by that Apex clan. Even if he became a witch ancestor, he would still die. Hence, the corpses of pinnacle races were taboo. The divine dragon race was the best choice. The experts of Eternal Sky City, Great Marquis City, and Radiant Guardian Dragon City have all fallen. I can sense it. The leader of the 100 Cities Alliance opened his eyes and said expressionlessly, "Yes. Not only that, but Sun-Gathering City as well." Although the City Lord of Sun-Gathering City did not die, all their experts and disciples were killed. It's a little strange and terrifying. The opponent seems to be very strong. He destroyed 4 cities in 10 hours. More than 95% of the elite disciples and experts died. An old man nodded and said with a solemn expression, "The destruction of the cities was fine for the 100 Cities Alliance, but the method of destruction and the speed at which they were destroyed shocked them. The Eternal Heaven City, the Gathering Sun City, the Light Guarding Dragon City, and the Grand Marquis City had worked together a few years ago. The last time they tried to kill an azure dragon of the ancestral dragon lineage, they failed and were saved by an expert who suddenly appeared. We suspect that they were exposed then. An expert with the head of a beast and the body of a human analyzed. The other party has clearly planned this for a long time and came prepared. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to destroy 4 cities in a day. Take this and go investigate." The alliance leader waved his hand, and a water mirror appeared in his hand, which floated towards them. "Find out who did it." "Yes, Alliance Master. If it's the ancestral dragon's bloodline, then we," an old man's eyes flickered. "If it's the ancestral dragon's bloodline, we'll pretend that we haven't found the culprit. If it's not, we'll destroy it." The leader of the 100 City Alliance said indifferently. The rest of them nodded slightly. The 100 City Alliance also didn't want to be enemies with the ancestral dragon's bloodline. No. It was because they didn't dare to fall out with the ancestral dragon's bloodline. They could just act in the dark. They were also afraid that the ancestral dragon's bloodline would be driven to desperation and drag them down with them. The group moved and disappeared rapidly. The leader of the 100 City Alliance was still sitting there with his legs crossed, motionless. "Dragon King, we've reaped a bountiful harvest this time. War is still the fastest way to get resources." At the same time, Yamada Devilish and the rest spoke excitedly in the Dragon Palace. "It's fast, but the risk is too great." Wang Xian shook his head and said, "Moreover, this is under the circumstances where you guys have been planning for a few years. If Venom Horn Dragon hadn't been planning for a few years, this operation wouldn't have gone so smoothly. Putting everything else aside, once the battle started, the entire city would be on alert. At that time, it would be difficult to even kill half of the other party's experts. Dragon King, we have to be careful. Although I've erased the traces of our battle, if the 100 City Alliance has any powerful sorcerers or treasures, they might still be able to find us." Tianjun said from the side. "That's right. The 100 City Alliance is very strong. Even in the inner continents, they are a relatively strong presence. There's a high chance that they will be able to trace us here." Wang Xian nodded in agreement. However, he wasn't too concerned. The 100 City Alliance was strong, but the Dragon Palace wasn't without trump cards. The corpses and resources we've obtained this time are mainly used to upgrade the Spiky Dragon and Venom Horn Dragon species. Let's increase the strength of both of you first. Wang Xian instructed. Yes, Yamada Devilish and Ao Yao immediately responded. Upgrade them now. He waved his hand and looked to the front. Prime Minister Turtle. Yes, Your Majesty. Prime Minister Turtle immediately responded. Send someone to guard the surroundings. Be careful. Wang Xian instructed. Yes. Prime Minister Turtle immediately responded and gave the order. Wang Xian waved his arm and a large number of treasures appeared in the Dragon King Hall. Dragon King, there are many water-attributed treasures. Can you give them to me? TSK, they can help me recover a lot. The Aqua Tentacle King's eyes lit up when she saw the water-attributed treasures. Water-attributed divine fruits and divine herbs are fine, but not treasures. Wang Xian said plainly. How many treasures were there in the 4 major cities? They were terrifying. There were 15 innate spiritual treasures alone. Most of them were of the 5 elements and 3 of them were of the light element. The only ones that weren't of use were 2 of the wind element and 1 of the thunder element. These treasures could upgrade the 5 elements grindstone and the yin-yang dragon coil without any problems. Alright, the Aqua Tentacle King felt helpless when she heard Wang Xian. Dragon King, I can sense a very powerful treasure here. Suddenly, the Aqua Tentacle King sensed something and flew towards a black bottle. Ha! Wang Xian was taken aback when he heard her and looked over immediately. For the Aqua Tentacle King to say that it was a treasure, it definitely wasn't simple. It was at least above the innate spiritual treasure level. Chapter 3452. TSK, I didn't expect the 4 cities to have something like this. How strange. The Water Tentacle King came to the black bottle, her eyes shining. She flipped through it, studying the patterns on it. Then she used her tentacle to open it. Wang! The black bottle was opened, and a phantom floated out. It was a child. The child's body was gray, and he had a pair of fangs and blood-red eyes. The most shocking thing was that there were a few blood-red eyes on his forehead and stomach. This child gave off a very uncomfortable feeling. Ha ha ha. The child had no physical body. When he came out, he let out a sinister sound. He stared at the Water Tentacle King, as though he did not know fear. What is this? Wang Xian looked at this strange child that didn't have a physical body and was shocked. This is called Dark Ghost, the ultimate battle treasure of the Dark Race, a peak race in the universe. One ghost for many lives. The Water Tentacle King answered. This is a dark ghost? Wang Xian's eyes flashed. From the inheritance of the divine dragon bloodline, he knew some information about dark ghosts. The Dark Race was a peak race in the universe. This race was very strange and terrifying. They had no physical body and physical attacks had no effect on them. In other words, they were immune to physical attacks. They also had strong resistance against the darkness element. They were very sick. However, their powerful bodies and special characteristics made it even more difficult for them to cultivate. Especially their attacks, which were relatively simple. And they had one similarity with the cosmic beasts. They did not have a universe god nation. Without a physical body, without a universe god nation, it meant that they had to rely on themselves. However, the reason why the Dark Race was a peak race in the universe was because they had an extremely powerful treasure. That was the Dark Ghost. Compared to the clones of the Dark Race, the stronger the Dark Ghost, the more Dark Ghosts there were, and the stronger they would be. However, they had the same flaw. It was also very difficult to improve the Dark Ghost. The Dark Race was the only peak race that did not get along well with each other. They were always in a civil war. This was because the fastest way for Dark Race experts to improve was by devouring their own kind. The strange little boy in front of him was a Dark Ghost. A masterless Dark Ghost was still very weak. There were 2 ways for a Dark Ghost to improve. One was to devour the souls of living beings, draw the Dark Ghost into its body, and nurture it with its darkness element. In short, raising a Dark Ghost was abnormally difficult. It could be said that raising a Nether Ghost would double the speed of a darkness attribute expert's cultivation. Furthermore, it wasn't something that could be raised by just any dark attribute expert. In short, it involved many laws and inheritances, making it extremely difficult. After all, the Nether Ghosts were one of the foundations of the Nether Race. What a pity. Nether Ghosts are quite valuable in the Nether Race, but for others they are basically useless. The Water Tentacle King said regretfully. Wang Xian nodded slightly. With a wave of his arm, Dark Ghost came before him. Nether Ghost was only half a meter tall, but it was somewhat sinister and terrifying. Too weak. He only has the combat power of a Void God Emperor. Wang Xian shook his head, and was about to keep it. Ha ha ha. Suddenly, the Nether Ghost floated toward the dragon throne. No, it was floating towards the progenitor tree. Wang Xian was slightly taken aback as he watched quietly. This little Nether Ghost flew in front of the soul-returning ancestral tree's branches, and its blood-red eyes stared at a soul-returning embryo fruit. It opened its mouth and bit it. Buzz. The soul-returning embryo fruit entered its mouth, causing its body to emit a gray energy. Wang Xian could clearly sense that Nether Ghost's strength had increased tremendously. This is. He narrowed his eyes and watched quietly. After eating one soul-returning embryo fruit, Nether Ghost continued to devour the other. When the second soul-returning embryo fruit entered its stomach, a wave of power swept through its body. It had advanced to the universe supremacy level. Dragon King, what fruit is this? How can it be absorbed by Nether Ghost and increase its strength so quickly? The Water Tentacle King asked in surprise. Wang Xian did not answer her, but watched quietly. The soul-returning embryo fruit could absorb souls. And Nether Ghost was also a soul to a certain extent. It was normal for energy of the same origin to be absorbed. Caca. At this time, the Nether Ghost seemed unsatisfied with the soul-returning embryo fruit. It actually bit at the soul-returning embryo fruit branch. Wang Xian was slightly taken aback. At this moment, the soul-returning embryo fruit branch emitted a gray glow as it wrapped around him. Ah! An ear-piercing scream came from Nether Ghost's mouth. He was slowly wrapped up by the soul-returning embryo fruit. Then a human-shaped soul-returning embryo fruit formed. This human shape was identical to Nether Ghost, but it had shrunk by 10 times. This. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows as he looked at this strange scene in astonishment. He flew over and touched the special soul-returning fetus fruit. A message came instantly, and Wang Xian's eyes immediately lit up. According to the message from the soul-returning embryo fruit, it could split into a Nether Ghost if it was swallowed. Dark Ghost had his own appearance, his own strength. It was an independent existence, but it also depended on itself. It was very mysterious. TSK, this is good stuff. Wang Xian's eyes sparkled. If he could swallow it, it would mean that he would have a doppelganger with strength similar to his own. Of course, there was still a huge difference. The main difference was in the unbeginning sacred wings. Without the unbeginning sacred wings, Wang Xian's strength would be similar to those of the same level. But no matter what, if he could swallow it, he would have a doppelganger with the strength of a first-order universe sovereign. Strong, very strong. One had to know that it had the special characteristic of the Nether race, which allowed it to ignore physical attacks. He swallowed it directly, and the special soul-returning embryo fruit instantly spread throughout his body. A special feeling came over him. He felt as though he had an additional soul, and he was connected to this soul. It was a little different from his doppelganger. With a thought, a gray figure that looked exactly like him appeared beside him. With a thought, he could easily control his own energy to connect with this person's. This is too strange. Dragon King, you can actually create a Nether Ghost doppelganger in an instant? Is this the horror of the heavenly origin creation realm? At the side, the Water Tentacle King's face was filled with shock when he saw this scene. It was abnormally difficult for the Nether race to nurture a Nether Ghost, but Wang Xian had one so easily? What kind of power was this? The power of the heavenly origin creation ancestral tree. Chapter 3453. How strong was a heavenly Yuan creation grade treasure? No one knew. But according to guesses, a first-order universe sovereign with a heavenly Yuan creation grade treasure could easily kill an opponent 5 or 6 levels higher. Although this was just a guess, no one doubted its authenticity. There was even a saying that if one could control a heavenly Yuan creation grade treasure, even an ordinary person could kill a universe sovereign. Of course, this was a hypothesis. An ordinary person could not control a heavenly Yuan creation grade treasure. Dark Ghost was a spiritual object, and the soul-returning fetus fruit was a fruit of the soul-returning wood, which was a branch of the progenitor tree. It could be said that the soul-returning fetus fruit was a fruit of the progenitor tree, a heavenly Yuan creation grade fruit. Even if the progenitor tree had not truly reached the heavenly Yuan creation grade, was still terrifying. Moreover, the Dark Ghost was wrapped by the branches of the soul-returning wood and condensed into the soul-returning fetal fruit. There was a very important reason why this Dark Ghost could reach the same level of strength as Wang Xian. Dark Ghost was still connected to the soul-returning wood. It could be said that the energy of the soul-returning wood was connected to Dark Ghost. This was because the progenitor tree and the soul-returning wood were residing in Wang Xian's body. Wang Xian's Dark Ghost doppelganger moved slightly, and a sinister black dragon head flew out from his body. This strength is comparable to an ordinary first-order universe sovereign. TSK, my strength has increased again. His face was filled with excitement. The unbeginning sacred wings and the 5 elements grindstone allowed him to fight 6 opponents of the same level. With the half-living spirit he could fight 1 or 2 more opponents. Now with the addition of the dark ghost doppelganger, he could fight even more. If the yin-yang dragon coil could improve, it would be even more insane. It was simply too powerful. Other than this treasure, are there any other treasures? Wang Xian looked at the Water Tentacle King and asked. Disregarding everything else, this fellow's senses and knowledge of treasures were much stronger than his. After all, the Water Tentacle King had lived for more than 10 billion years. He was definitely a terrifying old monster. No, it's already good enough to have a dark ghost. The Water Tentacle King shook his head. Next, it's time to improve my strength. Wang Xian looked at the treasures around him, and his eyes shone. Roar roar. He immediately transformed into a divine dragon, and devoured all sorts of resources. The resources entered his mouth, and were transformed into dragon energy. Time passed slowly. At the side, the Water Tentacle King widened his eyes when he saw Wang Xian devouring the treasures and the growth of his aura. What's going on? How is it possible for the energy conversion to be so fast? Even the former insect race. The Water Tentacle King looked on in shock. At the mention of the bug race, her body shuddered a little as a guess formed in her mind. However, she didn't dare to continue guessing. If what she guessed was true, it would be too terrifying. So. Just as Wang Xian devoured a large number of treasures, and the experts of Dragon Palace were raising their strength, 5 figures appeared in the sky above Tianheng City. They looked down, and their expressions were a little ugly. At this moment, the Eternal Heaven City had become an empty city. Unlike the other few cities, the Eternal Sky City, which was the first to be attacked, was assassinated by the spiky dragon species. After Wang Xian intervened, it caused panic in the city. After the panic descended, all the citizens fled in a frenzy, not daring to stay any longer. The entire Eternal Heaven City was basically intact, but there was not a single living thing. Wow. The 5 of them frowned. An old man in the middle waved his arm, and a mirror floated to the sky. The mirror gradually enlarged, and soon, a ray of light shone down. When the light shone within the city, the entire city became strangely lively. A figure formed by white light shuttled within the city. The entire city came alive. But soon, a shriek was heard, and they immediately looked towards the direction of the shriek. A figure flew out, and behind him was a blurry figure. This blurry figure seemed to have been erased by a surge of energy, and was very blurry. The other party has a sorcerer. An expert with an oval-shaped eye on his head said faintly, "There's another blurry figure here. We can piece it together." He looked to the other side and said plainly, "We can only confirm that it's a blurry figure. I'm afraid it'll be difficult to find it." The old man in the middle frowned slightly. "Send a large number of people to search, and we'll definitely be able to find some clues. Let's start with the database of the universe AI." The expert with an eye on his head said. The few of them nodded slightly. After staying there for more than 10 minutes, they left immediately. 5 days later, they appeared in Grand Marquis City. They had rushed at full speed, and even used the teleportation array for 5 days to reach here. One could imagine how vast the chaotic continent was. After checking with the mirror, they confirmed the shape of a living creature. If Wang Xian and the rest saw it, they would definitely know that the other party had captured the shape of the spike dragon. Boom. Bing. Congratulations on leveling up to the 5th Order Universe Venerable Realm. Comprehended Law. Godtail playing with pearls. While the 100 Cities Alliance was searching for the culprit, Wang Xian had another breakthrough in his strength within the Dragon Palace. 5th Order Universe Venerable Realm. 2nd Order Universe Lord Realm. Such a terrifying ability to fight across levels was definitely number 1 in the current universe. Name, Wang Xian Race. Yin-Yang Wind Lightning 5 Elements Divine Dragon Human Dragon Unification Level. 5th Order Universe Venerable, 9th Transformation of Divine Dragon Transformation. Origin Source. 1%, 99% required for next breakthrough. Superpower. Dominate the marine animals, rule over marine animals that are lower than your own level. Devour living creatures. Devour living creatures to extract origin source. 5 elements control cultivation technique. Divine Dragon. Transformation superpowers. Soul assimilation, spiritual attachment law of superpowers. Dragon Eye Lock, 5 elements Dragon Claw, Yin-Yang World Breaker, 8 Luminaries Dragon Scale, Saint Dragon Shadow, 8 Divisions of the Heavenly Dragon, Dragon Tomb, Soaring Cloud Dragon, True Dragon Body Law of Superpowers. 8 Directions Dragon Pillar, 8 Dragons Clone, Towering Dragon Horn, Mighty Heavenly Dragon, Godtail Playing with Pearls Law of Mastery, Metal, Wood Water Fire Earth Light, Darkness Wind Thunder God Nation. Dragon Palace Own Dragon Palace. Acquired Dragon Palace members. 1964450 few. I've finally broken through again. Wang Xian opened his dragon eyes and revealed a smile. Sensing his strength, the smile on his face deepened. Such strength was considered very strong among the high-level races. The strongest expert of the high-level races only had the combat strength of a third-order universe lord. He was just one step away from the peak experts of the various races. However, with his speed, even a third-order universe lord would not be able to kill him. With a thought, a ghost dragon clone appeared beside him. After he leveled up, Dark Ghost also leveled up. It felt good. He did not need any additional energy to level up. Chapter 3454. Congratulations on your breakthrough, Dragon King. In the future, you will become the Lord of the Universe. Unifying the universe is just around the corner. The Water Tentacle King shouted respectfully after Wang Xian broke through. She stared at him passionately, her eyes filled with shock. Don't flatter me. Cultivate well, and recover your strength. With a jerk, he flew towards the dragon transformation pool. If I were to slowly recover, it would take at least a few billion years. The Water Tentacle King muttered. It flew towards Wang Xian and landed on his shoulder. Within the dragonization pool, the spiked dragon species and the venom horn dragon species were currently growing stronger. This time, it was mainly to increase the strength of the venom horn dragon and the spiked dragon. With the 4 cities destroyed, there were a total of 70 first-order sovereigns. These 70 corpses could give the Thorn Dragon and Venom Horn Dragon another 70 peak universe supremacies. This was a terrifying increase. After the upgrade, they would become abnormally terrifying existences. This time, the Dragon Palace had obtained close to 1 million corpses of universe supremacies. It was impossible for the Spiked Dragon and Venom Horn Dragon to absorb all of it, but the other dragon species would also receive a significant boost. War could make the Dragon Palace improve rapidly. After that, we can slowly nibble away at the other cities of the 100 Cities Alliance, and see if they have completely become lackeys of the sacred dragon bloodline. Wang Xian mumbled to himself. He returned to the Dragon King Hall, and continued to level up. Apart from the corpses, the connate numinous treasures he obtained could upgrade the 5 elements grindstone, and the Yin-Yang Dragon Coil. The 5 elements grindstone could raise one's combat power to the second-order universe sovereign realm, while the Yin-Yang Dragon Coil could raise one's combat power to the first-order universe sovereign realm. Buzz. The 5 elements grindstone and the Yin-Yang Dragon board appeared before Wang Xian. He began to refine the 2 treasures. Found it. We can already lock onto the culprit who destroyed the 4 major cities. I really didn't expect it. I really didn't expect that there would be a 3rd divine dragon bloodline in the universe. Moreover, they have already grown to such an extent. At this very moment, at one of the 108 peaks of the 100 Cities Alliance, 5 experts were sitting cross-legged on top of a peak. At this moment, they received a message from their subordinates, and their eyes were filled with surprise. Let's go and report to the Alliance Master. The group of people moved and immediately flew toward the main peak in the center. Found it. The City Lord of the 100 Cities Alliance asked indifferently without opening his eyes when the 5 experts arrived. Alliance Master, we've found the culprit. The 4 cities were destroyed by the Dragon Palace. The old man in the center immediately reported. Dragon Palace? The leader of the 100-City Alliance sounded doubtful. Yes, Alliance leader. The Dragon Palace is another divine dragon bloodline in the universe. It is also the third largest divine dragon bloodline in the universe after the ancestral dragon Saint Dragon bloodline. We received news that the Dragon Palace landed in the outer region of the chaotic continent over 20 years ago. As soon as they landed, they annihilated the three forces on the periphery. Our disciples have done countless comparisons on the universe AI. After some investigations, we can confirm that the ones who attacked the four cities are members of this Dragon Palace, a dragon species that specializes in assassination. The old man said in detail. As for why they wanted to annihilate Tianheng City, we have some guesses. This Dragon Palace seems to have a good relationship with an azure dragon of the ancestral dragon bloodline. Besides, it might be because their disciples were killed. The expert with a huge eye guessed. How strong is the Dragon Palace? The 100-City Alliance leader asked indifferently. Not sure. The information on the universe AI doesn't match them at all. However, I don't think there are any second-order universe sovereigns. The old man in the center guessed. Find their nest and annihilate it. The leader of the 100 Cities Alliance slowly opened his eyes and said, "We have already located their nest. Alliance leader, I feel that we should send more experts over." The old man in the center said. "And inform some cities to send out 8 second-order universe sovereigns and 15 first-order universe sovereigns." The 100-City Alliance leader's eyes flickered. "Also announce this matter. Our 100-City Alliance will be enemies with the Dragon Palace. We will annihilate them. As long as we see any Dragon Palace disciples, we will kill them all." "Oh, Alliance leader, you mean that we can make use of the Dragon Palace's actions to hunt the experts of the Divine Dragon bloodline in the future?" The eyes of the expert with a huge eye glowed as he spoke. "Kiki, that's right. The ancestral dragon bloodline has been separated for tens of millions of years. The newly born Divine Dragon bloodline can be classified as part of the Dragon Palace." The 100-City Alliance leader revealed a faint smile. "We understand. We will make our move now." The 5 experts from the 100-City Alliance nodded and left in a flash. At this moment, in the territory of the 100 Cities Alliance, the news of the destruction of the 4 cities spread like wildfire on the artificial intelligence system of the 100 Cities Alliance. Countless experts and disciples of the 100-City Alliance discussed and guessed. Some guessed that it was the ancestral dragon bloodline. Currently, the ancestral dragon bloodline had the biggest motive. This caused the 100-City Alliance's disciples and citizens to panic. Was the 100-City Alliance really going to become enemies with the ancestral dragon bloodline? This wasn't good news for them. The ancestral dragon bloodline was much stronger than them. If they really angered the ancestral dragon bloodline, no city would be able to stop them if they descended. The surrounding regions of the 100-City Alliance were also in heated discussions. Currently, the war between the ancestral dragon bloodline and the sacred dragon bloodline wasn't something that the peak-grade races paid attention to. Look, the 100-City Alliance sent out an announcement. The culprit who annihilated the 4 cities has been found. It's a faction called Dragon Palace, the third largest divine dragon faction in the universe. They really sent out an announcement. It's confirmed that it was the Dragon Palace experts. Why did they attack Tianheng City? What are they trying to do? Dragon Palace? Why did the Divine Dragon bloodline suddenly appear? Why haven't I heard of it? Are they strong? Why did they attack the 4 cities? So far, the ancestral dragon bloodline experts haven't attacked the cities of the 100-City Alliance. Why did they attack? Are they seeking death? The 100-City Alliance sent out an announcement. The 4 cities were annihilated, the culprit was Dragon Palace, and they even provided all the evidence. Moreover, the 100-City Alliance emphasized in the announcement that they had no intention of participating in the war between the ancestral dragon bloodline and the sacred dragon bloodline. However, if any faction tried to take advantage of the situation, they couldn't blame them for being impolite. The 100-City Alliance declared war on Dragon Palace and was determined to annihilate it. Chapter 3455. Another force from the Divine Dragon bloodline is involved? The The 100 Cities Alliance has issued a kill order to kill any Dragon Palace disciple they encounter. There's information about the Dragon Palace on the AI. It seems like the Dragon Palace is really strong in the outer region and the edge of the universe. On this day, when the 100 Cities Alliance issued the kill order and announced it on the AI, countless experts and disciples were in an uproar. A newly emerged force from the divine dragon bloodline piqued everyone's curiosity. When they searched for information about the Dragon Palace on the AI, they were also shocked. This Dragon Palace had a glorious record. The 100 Cities Alliance wants to become enemies with the divine dragon bloodline. This is getting more and more lively. It should be the 100 Cities Alliance's mission that caused the deaths of the Dragon Palace's disciples. Hence, the Dragon Palace is taking revenge on the other cities. However, since the Dragon Palace was able to annihilate 4 cities in a day and kill several First Order sovereigns, their strength is definitely not weak. This Dragon Palace is courting death. Do they think they have the strength of the ancestral dragon bloodline? How dare they make an enemy out of our 100 Cities Alliance? Someone guessed on the AI as a disciple of the 100 Cities Alliance made a statement. In any case, the name of Dragon Palace had entered the sights of all the races and forces within the chaotic era. To be able to wipe out 4 cities in a day, they were considered to be one of the stronger races within the chaotic era. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace, Brother Wuxia, actually destroyed the 4 cities. Why did he do that? In the deep and incomparably dense forest, towering trees reached the sky. Within a huge tree, Qing Longyue read the report from a disciple with a face filled with shock. Brother Qing Longyue, this Dragon Palace is the brother who saved you? An expert from our divine dragon bloodline? Around him, there were a dozen figures sitting on chairs. When they heard his words, a look of curiosity appeared on their faces. Now that the ancestral dragon bloodline was being hunted and attacked, many experts from the ancestral dragon bloodline had started to gather together to deal with the danger. Yes, this brother is very strong. He can easily kill First Order universe sovereigns of the same realm. According to what I know, other than him, there are 2 other First Order universe sovereigns in the Dragon Palace. One is a shaman, and the other is a purebred water divine dragon. This brother Wuxia from the Dragon Palace is a nice guy. His philosophy is the same as our ancestral dragon leader. He obviously hates the sacred dragon lineage. He was also the one who told me that the Eternal Sky City was behind the attack on me. Azure Dragon Moon spoke, a puzzled look in his eyes. I wonder why he would attack the 4 great cities. Let me ask. After hesitating for a few seconds, he took out the Universe AI and sent some information to Wuxia. Oh, that brother is indeed very strong. However, after searching for a few years, we still haven't found any evidence to prove that it was the 4 cities that attacked Brother Azure Dragon. Without evidence, it would be difficult for us to exact revenge. Now that the 4 cities have been destroyed by the Dragon Palace, the Dragon Palace will be in danger. They are no match for the 100 Cities Alliance. Several experts from the ancestral dragon's lineage said, Brother Wang isn't an impulsive person. He must have a plan. Azure Dragon Moon shook his head. Brother Wuxia replied to me. He was the one who destroyed the 4 cities and told me not to worry about them. The 100 Cities Alliance has made the Dragon Palace their enemy, and the Dragon Palace will fight with them to the end. At this moment, Azure Dragon Moon received Wuxia's message and spoke. This brother is really a ruthless person. An expert from the ancestral dragon's lineage shook his head and smiled. I hope nothing will happen to them. That old man from the 100 Cities Alliance is very strong. Azure Dragon Moon mumbled to himself with a tinge of worry in his eyes. However, the ancestral dragon's lineage was in trouble now, and he had no time to care about Wuxia. As expected, the 100 Cities Alliance found out and issued a kill order to destroy the Dragon Palace. At the corner of the sea, after Azure Dragon Moon sent him the message, he did a search and learned that the 100 Cities Alliance had locked onto the Dragon Palace. Wuxia's eyes flickered. Under normal circumstances, the 100 Cities Alliance will definitely send experts over to destroy the Dragon Palace. He mumbled to himself and pondered. The current Dragon Palace couldn't withstand the attacks of experts above the Universe Dominator level. With such strength, they could break through the defenses of the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Palace still has some trump cards when the other party attacks. I'm not afraid of them destroying the Dragon Palace. However, there's still a considerable risk. If only the Dragon Palace has a grotto heaven that can withstand the strength of a third or fourth order universe dominator. Wang Xian mumbled. A grotto heaven defense that can withstand the destructive strength of a third or fourth order universe dominator. Dragon King, I know a place. However, the grotto heaven defense has been activated and we can't enter. The Water Tentacle King heard him and suddenly spoke. Huh? Where is it? Wang Xian paused and looked at her. It's at the Heaven Everlasting River, where the water from the heavens falls. I can't break through the grotto heaven defense. Even if the huge birdman were here, he wouldn't be able to break through the defense. It's a pity that we can't enter anymore. The Water Tentacle King said plainly. Below the water from the heavens? You mean the grotto heaven of the Sky Water race? Wang Xian's eyes lit up as he asked. The Sky Water race was the race that was defeated by the Lotus race. They hid in the grotto heaven, and were sealed by the Lotus race. Was their grotto heaven that powerful? It should be the Sky Water race that you mentioned. The seal on the outside is gone, but the grotto heaven defense has never been activated. Perhaps the entire race has perished inside. The Water Tentacle King said. The Dragon Palace can be moved there. Wang Xian's eyes lit up and flickered. However, he wasn't in a hurry. Although the 100 Cities Alliance was strong, Wang Xian had made some preparations since he had made his move. Currently, the Dragon Palace still had a trump card to defend against the 100 Cities Alliance. And that trump card was the Cursed Dragon. In the past few decades, the Cursed Dragon in the Dragon Palace had reached 10,000. Moreover, the strongest one had the combat strength of a 7th Order Universe supremacy. The rest were mostly 1st or 2nd Order Universe supremacies. The Cursed Dragon was weak in combat, and could only fight one level higher. In the inner continents, this kind of talent was considered trash. However, they had the cursed body. Even if their combat strength was weak, who would dare to kill them? In the past, the God King level cursed living beings were instantly cursed to death when a universe supremacy tried to kill them. As for the Cursed Dragon in the Dragon Palace, a universe lord level expert, one would have to consider the price one had to pay before killing them. Perhaps the pinnacle races and terrifying experts had ways to defend against it. However, he didn't think the 100 Cities Alliance would. Chapter 3456, and Lie. Wang Xian was prepared to take a look after learning about the existence of a powerful and blessed place at the Eternal River of Heaven. Dragon King. Enlai teleported over and cupped his fists to Wang Xian. Head to the Eternal River of Heaven immediately and bring me there. Wang Xian instructed him. Yes, Dragon King. Enlai nodded and disappeared in a flash. Enlai will only need a day or two to get there. If the experts from the 100 Cities Alliance are coming to the Dragon Palace, they might need a few months. Wang Xian mumbled to himself as he continued to help the 5 Elements Grindstone and the Yin-Yang Dragon Board absorb treasures to improve. 2 days later, Enlai returned to the Dragon Palace. Let's go. Wang Xian opened his eyes. Enveloped by the dark blaze, he disappeared immediately. When they reappeared, they were already at the Eternal River of Heaven. Wang Xian looked around and immediately flew towards the center of the Eternal River of Heaven. He was fast. After dozens of hours, they arrived at the center. This was the center of the battle between the Water Tentacle King and Archangel Gabriel. That great battle had also shocked Wang Xian. Creepy inborn cardinal treasures and horrifying destructive power. There's an entrance at the bottom of the center. It's blocked and we can't get in at all. The Water Tentacle King pointed to a location and said to Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded and flew over immediately. The last great battle didn't cause too many changes to the Eternal River of Heaven. Water continued to fall from the sky. The only difference was that the number of dire beasts around seemed to have decreased. They must have escaped to a distance. Or they might have been killed by the angels. Wang Xian came to the bottom. Under the guidance of the Water Tentacle King, he saw an entrance with a diameter of 10,000 meters. The entrance was filled with blue radiance. It was as though one would enter another world upon stepping in. Enlai, go in. Be careful. Wang Xian instructed Enlai. Yes, Dragon King. Enlai nodded. Looking at the entrance, his figure disappeared. The Water Tentacle King pondered as Enlai disappeared. Wang. 2 seconds later, Enlai came back. Dragon King, it's dead inside. There are only some skeletons on the ground. Enlai reported to Wang Xian. Bring me in. Wang Xian nodded his head. In the next moment, Enlai led them into the interior of the blessed grotto heaven. A wave of water energy that was even more majestic than the outside world could be felt. Wang Xian took a look inside. At this moment, there were many ancient buildings in the inner area. The buildings were somewhat dilapidated. There were obvious signs of a battle. There were many corpses on the ground. Only the bones of the corpses were left. They seemed to have died a long time ago. The interior of the blessed grotto heaven was not very big, about the size of 3 or 4 dragon palaces. However, such a place was still too small for a race. It's possible that the long years of living in this small space has triggered the internal strife of the race. Wang Xian muttered to himself as he guessed. If it was any other expert, they would be driven mad after living in such a small space for a long time. The sky-water race was the same. They were squeezed here without seeing the light of day, causing internal strife. Wang Xian shook his head. After flying one round, he revealed a satisfied look. System, build the Dragon Palace. With a thought, resources flew forward one by one. A small dragon palace that was weaker than the main dragon palace was quickly built. Wang Xian smiled and entered the dragon palace directly. The dragon palace had a teleportation formation. However, in this enclosed blessed grotto heaven, the teleportation formation would be blocked. In other words, the teleportation formation could not be used. However, Enlai was still around. The demonic soul altar could ignore such rules. After setting up a demonic soul altar, Enlai brought Wang Xian back to the main dragon palace. Great. Even if the main dragon palace is in danger, it can still be transported instantly. He smiled. The dragon palace could be said to be 100% safe now. With the powerful blessed grotto heaven, the dragon palace will be qualified to go against the 100 Cities Alliance. His eyes flickered and revealed a sinister look. Let's upgrade the 5 elements grindstone and the Tai Chi dragon plate first. Wang Xian murmured. Time passed day by day. Within the mainland, the emergence of the dragon palace was still a hot topic. Countless disciples of the 100 Cities Alliance said that the dragon palace was courting death and would be annihilated by them. To this, the disciples of the other races and forces agreed tacitly. During this period of time, everything about the dragon palace had been dug out. The Dragon Palace might have improved rapidly with the Dragon King and other experts, but the 100 Cities Alliance was stronger. It was so strong that even the ancestral dragon bloodline had to be wary of the 100 Cities Alliance. The 100 Cities Alliance had given the order to kill. The Dragon Palace was probably doomed. In the Sea of the Mountains and Seas, 23 terrifying figures stood quietly on the back of a wild beast. This was a wild beast that resembled a sharp sword. Its body was flat, and its wings were razor-sharp. Its head and mouth were flat and sharp as well. The entire wild beast exuded a terrifying aura of a sharp blade. Gold and green light surrounded it, and its speed was abnormally terrifying. This was a wild beast with the combat strength of a second-order universe sovereign. Golden Fengxi was the name of the wild beast. It had a unique name, but it was a terrifying existence. 23 powerful figures stood on top of it. They traversed above the sea. Some seagulls had not sensed them, so they flew over directly. Phew, the 5 elements grindstone and the Tai Chi dragon plate have finally been upgraded. 1.5 months later, within the Dragon Palace. Seeing that the 2 treasures had been upgraded, Wang Xian revealed a smile. The 5 elements grindstone and Wang Xian's strength were about the same. The Tai Chi dragon plate was still 1 realm lower. He took out the universe AI and searched for some news. Looking at the discussions within the continent and the comments of some experts from the 100 Cities Alliance, he could not help but smile. Everything had just begun. 8 branches Devil Fiend. He shouted, his voice reaching the ears of the 8 branches Devil Fiend. At this point, The 8 branches Devil Fiend and the rest had improved over the past month. This time, they had obtained 5 First Order Universe Sovereign Corpses. 3 members of the Venom Horn Dragon species had reached the First Order Universe Sovereign level. 2 of the Spike Dragons had reached the First Order Universe Sovereign level. Yes, Your Majesty. Soon, they flew over and greeted Wang Xian. Get in line to bring you to the Dragon Palace at the Eternal Heaven River. Then lock onto the target and invade the 100 Cities Alliance. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he ordered. Yes, Dragon King. I'll definitely complete the mission. The 8 branches Devil Fiend licked his lips, his face filled with excitement. Previously, their Venom Horn Dragon species could cause the 4 major cities to fall without any upgrades. This time it was even easier for them. Just by relying on the Venom Horn Dragon species, they could slowly take over cities. Chapter 3457. Be careful and don't let your guard down. First, check if the 100 Cities Alliance has become the lackey of the Sacred Dragon bloodline. Wang Xian reminded the Yamata no Naga. Yes, Dragon King. We, the Venom Horn Dragon, will complete the mission perfectly. The devilish Orochi guaranteed. Wang Xian trusted the devilish Orochi very much. He nodded to them. The 2 of them led their subordinates and started to invade the cities of the 100 Cities Alliance. In less than a year or 2, they would be able to take control of a city easily. This might be a long time for Wang Xian and the rest. However, it was too fast and terrifying for the other races in the mainland. Time passed day by day. As the Dragon Palace couldn't be transported through the demonic dragon sacrificial altar, there was only one way to transfer the Dragon Palace to the Eternal Heaven River. That was to fly. It was obviously impossible to fly as they would be killed by the 100 Cities Alliance halfway. In that case, they might as well do it here. This would make the Dragon Palace safer. It's just ahead. That's where the Dragon Palace is. 3 months later, the Golden Wind Western Desolation Beast entered the border of the corner of the sea. They were just a step away from the Dragon Palace. The old man on the Golden Wind Western Desolation Beast looked at the map with terrifying killing intent in his eyes. The Dragon Palace should be able to guess that we will come. Be careful. Even if we can't kill all the disciples of the Dragon Palace, we have to destroy their nest. The expert with a huge eye on his head said coldly, Yes, Lord I. The 15 First Order Universe Sovereigns answered immediately. In this position, the Grotto Heavens and Blessed Lands won't be very strong. Defensive Grotto Heavens and Blessed Lands won't be able to withstand our attacks. An old lady with a staff in her hand said plainly, That's right. The Golden Wind Western Desolation Beast has entered the ocean. It's not far ahead. The old man transmitted his voice to the wild beast he was riding. Bam! When they entered the ocean, energy was transmitted to the surroundings. Reporting to the Dragon King, we sensed a powerful force flying towards our Dragon Palace. Inside the Dragon Palace, the alarms of the Dragon Palace immediately sensed a terrifying existence approaching. Wang Xian opened his eyes. Without any hesitation, he appeared above the Dragon Palace and stared ahead. His eyes flickered. He saw a wild beast the size of 1,000 meters flying towards him at a terrifying speed. There were more than 20 figures on the dire beast's body. He's quite fast. Wang Xian murmured as his eyes flickered. At this moment, the surrounding cursed dragons roared. They were scattered all over the Dragon Palace, ready to fight at any time. Of course, their battles were purely suicidal. Is that the Dragon Palace? We've been discovered. Humph, the aura emitted by this Dragon Palace is only SOSO. I can easily destroy it. The group of experts from the 100 Cities Alliance appeared in Wang Xian's line of sight. Naturally, the Dragon Palace also appeared in their line of sight. This is their lair? Trash. The group of experts didn't bother to hide it at all. Attack. Wang Xian looked at the experts from the 100 Cities Alliance. Without any hesitation, he ordered the cursed dragon to attack. In an instant, 20 cursed dragons flapped their huge wings and attacked them directly. You dare to attack us? You are courting death. When the 100 Cities Alliance saw that the members of Dragon Palace dared to attack them directly, a cold glint flashed across their eyes. Ants. One of the second-order universe sovereigns waved his arm, and a stream of water swept towards the cursed dragons. PFFF, PFFF, PFFF. The 30 cursed dragons couldn't put up any resistance. When the stream of water passed through them, their bodies crumbled instantly. A wave of black energy disappeared in an instant. Something's not right. Not good. Suddenly, the expert known as Lord I released a blood-red glow from his single eye. His expression changed drastically as he looked towards the expert who attacked. That expert's body stiffened as well. Sensing something, he hurriedly looked down at his arm. Strange black patterns appeared on his body and spread throughout his entire body. Not good. That's a cursed creature. A cursed creature. The second-order universe sovereign expert's expression changed drastically as he screamed in fear. Arg. In the next instant, an incomparably tragic scream came from his mouth. Their bodies slowly turned black, and then they slowly turned into ashes and dispersed in the wind. In fact, within one of the 100 Cities Alliance's City Lord Manor, hundreds of thousands of figures suddenly froze as black curses spread across their bodies, killing them instantly. A second-order universe sovereign died, just like that the moment he arrived at the Dragon Palace. Roar. At this time, another series of roars rang out. This time, hundreds of cursed dragons attacked them. Damn it. Why are there so many cursed beings in this Dragon Palace? The strength of these cursed beings is terrifying, and the power of the curse is even stronger. We can't kill them. The old man in the lead shouted. With a shake of his body, he formed a defensive barrier. Bang! The cursed dragons flew towards the front, but they were blocked by the barrier. They couldn't break through it at all. Roar. At this time, all the cursed dragons around the Dragon Palace roared in unison. All of them are at the Venerable Realm. We can't kill them. Lord I's huge eyes scanned the area with a cold gaze. I didn't expect the Dragon Palace to have such a trump card, using the cursed beings to protect their nest. The old woman's gaze swept across the area as she spoke. Dragon Palace, since you dared to destroy the 4 great cities of the 100 Cities Alliance, you are our enemy. We will definitely annihilate you. Don't think that some cursed beings can save your lives. The old man in the lead stared below as he roared with an ugly expression. Hee hee, 100 Cities Alliance, Eternal Sky City, and the other 4 cities secretly killed our disciples. Of course, I have to annihilate them. Didn't the 100 Cities Alliance not interfere in individual battles between cities? Why are you interfering now? Wang Xian stood above the Dragon Palace, his eyes flickering as he scanned the group. 8 second-order universe sovereigns. 15 first-order universe sovereigns. This power could not be said to be weak. It seemed like the other party wanted to annihilate the Dragon Palace. The 4 great cities have already been destroyed by your Dragon Palace. You can slander us as you please. The old man in the lead said coldly. Since you dared to destroy them, you have to pay the price. The price is destruction. Chapter 3458. 100 Cities Alliance. Let's see who's going to destroy who. Wang Xian stood above the Dragon Palace, staring at the experts from the 100 Cities Alliance, as he spoke with killing intent. Hee hee, today we'll take you down, the leader of the 100 Cities Alliance said, his eyes filled with killing intent. He swept his gaze across the surrounding experts, and they nodded their heads. Dragon Palace, even if you have made some preparations, and your subordinates have left your base, it won't be long before we wipe you all out. Going against the 100 Cities Alliance is courting your own destruction. The expert with a huge eye on his head said as he flew forward. The experts of the 100 Cities Alliance scattered in the surroundings, floating in the void. Moving mountain. Filling the sea. Thick earth. Suppressing demon. Sealing demon. Falling heavens. Closing earth. Out of the 8 first-order sovereigns, 1 was killed by the curse. However, the other 7 experts chanted in a cold voice, their eyes shining brightly. After each word was spat out, the surrounding space began to change violently. Moving mountain. A mountain suddenly appeared above the Dragon Palace. Filling the sea, the surrounding space instantly turned gray. Thick earth was located around the Dragon Palace. Terrifying city walls appeared. Suppressing demon. A humongous palm descended from the sky. Sealing demon. 2 talismans intersected, appearing in the air. Falling heavens. Surrounding darkness. Closing earth. The ground shook. They spat out words from their mouths, and the energy from their bodies surged towards the surroundings. This scene seemed to change the heavens and earth. Around them, 15 First Order sovereigns waved their arms, and waves of energy surged into the sky. Wang Xian stood on top of the Dragon Palace and watched with a solemn expression. Given his current strength, he could deal with 7 Second Order sovereigns. However, the prerequisite was that they did not have any powerful Xiantian treasures. However, it was clear that each of them had at least 2 or 3 Xiantian treasures. When his companion spirit, Lingling, was still in hibernation, he did not have the confidence to deal with the 7 of them. Not to mention, the 15 First Order sovereigns weren't existences the Dragon Palace could deal with. The cursed dragons saw this scene and immediately flew up into the sky. Bam bam bam. However, when they flew into the sky, they were blocked by an invisible energy. When they collided with it, the energy did not move at all. A cursed being would only attack the other party after it was killed. If they collided and died, then the curse had no effect on them. In other words, the other party could be sealed by the Dragon Palace and not be cursed. Unless they were sealed in the Dragon Palace and died because of the seal, they would suffer karma. Only then would they be cursed. However, the probability of that happening was far too small. Therefore, although they could not do anything to the cursed dragon, they could seal the Dragon Palace directly. Buzz. The old man standing in the middle waved his arm, and items fell on the surrounding phantoms. The mountain began to descend, pressing down on the Dragon Palace. The surrounding seawater quickly disappeared, and was covered by the gray earth attribute. The city walls began to approach, surrounding the Dragon Palace. One by one, the void objects began to seal and suppress the Dragon Palace. What a strange suppression technique. After the Dragon Palace is suppressed, it will be extremely difficult for me to break it open, unless a Third Order Sovereign Realm expert makes a move. When Wang Xian sensed the interlocking suppression methods, he was shocked. He hesitated for a moment before he entered the Dragon Palace. There aren't many members in the Dragon Palace. They must have guessed that we will come to annihilate them. Therefore, most of their members have fled. I guess they will come after us again. The expert, whose head was like an eye, seemed to be able to see through the Dragon Palace as he spoke coldly. As long as they dare to attack our 100 Cities Alliance, we will be able to annihilate them. The old man who was leading the group revealed strong confidence. Their 100 Cities Alliance had many experts, and they had all sorts of methods. The sorcerer lineage had many experts as well. Using witchcraft, as long as the Dragon Palace disciples dared to attack their cities, they could use witchcraft to track them down. At that time, the other party would not be able to escape. Based on their guesses, the Dragon Palace should not have any Second-Order Sovereign Realm experts. To them, this did not affect them at all. Wang Xian stood in the Dragon Palace, quietly watching the Dragon Palace being suppressed. The terrifying seal isolated the Dragon Palace from everything else. The Dragon Palace was suppressed. He moved and immediately came to the location of the Dragon Cave. He looked at the Fire Dragon Palace and Devil Dragon Dark World that were being devoured. Roving Crab, and the rest were devouring them. Roving Crab, how long more before you can devour them completely? What realm will your strength reach after devouring? Wang Xian asked them. Dragon King, we will need another 10 years or so. By then, our devouring dragon should be able to produce over 20 Second-Order Sovereign Realm experts. Roving Crab reported immediately. This was different from what they had expected. Wang Xian had thought that Roving Crab would only be able to raise his strength to the First or Second-Order Sovereign Realm. However, he had underestimated the energy contained in the Fire Dragon Palace and Devil Dragon Dark World. These two were once the dragon palaces of true universe dominators. In other words, they were dragon palaces that were at least at the universe sovereign realm. Even after the corrosion of time, they could still improve significantly after devouring. Alright, continue devouring. Wang Xian nodded his head. The devouring dragon could only fight 2 ranks higher. Since they could reach the second-order sovereign realm, it meant that they had reached the pinnacle of the universe supremacy realm. It would be difficult to reach the true universe sovereign realm with the help of the Fire Dragon Palace. It has been completely suppressed. Unless an expert like the ancestral dragon leader intervenes, the Dragon Palace will never see the light of day. After a few hours, outside the Dragon Palace, the old man leading the 100 Cities Alliance said coldly, "Let's go back and inform all the cities to be on guard against a sneak attack from the Dragon Palace." As they spoke, their figures gradually disappeared and left. Swish. When they were completely gone, Enlai's figure appeared outside. He took a look and returned to the Dragon Palace. "Dragon King, the experts from the 100 Cities Alliance have left." Enlai reported to Wang Xian. "All right, let's go. The war has begun." Wang Xian revealed a faint smile and stepped into the demonic dragon sacrificial altar. The suppression of the Dragon Palace did not affect them at all. Their figures disappeared, and they came to the base of the Dragon Palace for a long time. The blessed grotto heaven under the water of the heavens. However, on the Universe AI, the news of the Dragon Palace being suppressed was intentionally spread by the 100 Cities Alliance, and it immediately caused a sensation. Chapter 3459. Our 100 Cities Alliance has already announced that the Dragon Palace has been suppressed. Ha ha ha, that reckless thing dared to kill a member of the 100 Cities Alliance? The Dragon Palace is still too weak. They challenged the 100 Cities Alliance, and the 100 Cities Alliance sent out experts to suppress them. The 100 Cities Alliance has released a message. Although they have suppressed the Dragon Palace, most of the members of the Dragon Palace have already escaped. However, the 100 Cities Alliance will annihilate all the members of the Dragon Palace in the future. He's too strong. The Dragon Palace didn't even have the slightest resistance, and was directly suppressed. After the experts of the 100 Cities Alliance returned, they immediately spread the news of the disappearance of the Dragon Palace. There were two reasons why they released the news. The first was to show off the strength of the 100 Cities Alliance. The second was to prepare for the 100 Cities Alliance's hunt of the Divine Dragon Bloodline disciples. In the future, as long as the 100 Cities Alliance did not kill the experts of the ancestral dragon's lineage, they could pin the killing on the members of the Dragon Palace. On the Universe AI, the experts and disciples of the other powers didn't know the intentions of the 100 Cities Alliance. The disciples of the 100 Cities Alliance cheered and shouted that the Dragon Palace was courting death. The other forces were also slightly shocked by the strength of the 100 Cities Alliance. After all, it was an alliance formed by 100 cities, and its strength was extremely terrifying. At this moment, Wang Xian was in the blessed grotto heaven below the heavenly water of the Tianhing River. He looked at the information on the AI and revealed a cold smile. Although the Dragon Palace was suppressed this time, it didn't affect them at all. On the contrary, a second-order sovereign from the 100 Cities Alliance died from the backlash of killing the cursed dragon. Now the so-called suppression of the 100 Cities Alliance was a good cover for the Dragon Palace. Dragon King, the alliance of the 100 cities is too arrogant. They issued a kill order, saying that if they meet any disciple of the Dragon Palace in the future, they will kill them all. At the side, Prime Minister Turtle was enraged when he saw the information on the artificial intelligence. It had been a long time since they had encountered such a savage enemy. Indeed, they are a little arrogant. Do they really think that we are easy to deal with? Wang Xian's face was filled with sarcasm. This time, the 100 Cities Alliance was here to suppress the Dragon Palace. If Wang Xian were to retaliate, it would be impossible for them to suppress the Dragon Palace. However, if he counterattacked, the other party would send even more experts. It was just unnecessary. There was no need for him to reveal his strength. Dragon King, now that the devilish 8 branches have improved, with their strength, if they're lucky, they'll be able to control a city within a year. If they're unlucky, they'll need at most a few years. At that time, we'll make the 100 Cities Alliance pay a terrible price. Prime Minister Turtle said with a murderous look. Wang Xian nodded. Order all the disciples of Dragon Palace outside to be extremely careful. They must be wary of all living creatures. It's Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle nodded. Buzz buzz. At this time, Wang Xinyu received a message from the Azure Dragon Moon. He asked about the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian replied, telling her not to worry. Brother Wang Xian, be careful. According to the information we received, all the cities in the 100 Cities Alliance have sent out a group of elites to form a team of members from the Dragon Extermination Palace. You must be extremely careful. Based on our guess, they will hunt down the divine dragon bloodline without restraint. Azure Dragon Moon sent over another message. Upon seeing this message, Wang Xian squinted his eyes. Brother Azure Dragon Moon, do you mean that the enemy will attack all those with divine dragon bloodlines? Wang Xian replied immediately. That should be the case. According to some information obtained by the experts from the ancestral dragon lineage, the 100 Cities Alliance seems to have joined in. However, they will not attack the disciples and members of the ancestral dragon lineage on the surface for now. You must be careful. Azure Dragon Moon replied quickly. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he read Azure Dragon Moon's message. The 100 Cities Alliance did not dare to join in fully. However, they had made some moves in the dark. Moreover, they had formed a team to hunt down the members of the Dragon Palace. This team claimed to be hunting down the disciples of the Dragon Palace. In reality, they were hunting down all those with divine dragon bloodline. As long as the other party was not an expert or disciple of the ancestral dragon lineage that was known to the public, they could consider it as a disciple of the Dragon Palace. The ancestral dragon lineage had been separated for tens of millions of years. Many new divine dragon bloodline were born, and many experts did not know if they were experts from the ancestral dragon lineage. In this case, the 100 Cities Alliance could claim that they were disciples of the Dragon Palace. Most importantly, the experts from the ancestral dragon lineage had clearly encountered some trouble. As such, they did not want to fall out with the 100 Cities Alliance. A team to hunt down disciples of the Dragon Palace. This 100 Cities Alliance is really arrogant. Wang Xian's eyes gleamed coldly. 100 Cities Alliance, you will pay the price soon. He murmured. He sat cross-legged in the grotto heaven, and waited quietly for the news from the 8-branched devilish chi. Wang Xian was not in a hurry. He could afford to wait. Moreover, the wait would not be too long. A few years at most. Dragon King, the latest news. A dozen disciples of the Dragon Palace were killed in a small city called Haotian City. More than half of the city was destroyed and there were many casualties. However, 2 months later, a sudden piece of news disrupted Wang Xian's plan. When he heard the news from Prime Minister Turtle, he was stunned. The 100 Cities Alliance acted quickly. In addition, the 100 Cities Alliance seems to be using this method to issue a statement and a warning to the other neutral cities and races to forbid the disciples of the Dragon Palace from entering their cities. Otherwise, they will bear the consequences. Prime Minister Turtle continued. Prime Minister Turtle, did you say that the city is called Haotian City? Wang Xian's expression changed slightly as he asked. Yes, it's called Haotian City. It's a small city with few experts. The experts of the 100 Cities Alliance apologized and said that they would compensate them. However, this is clearly a warning to the other cities. Prime Minister Turtle nodded. Haotian City. Wang Xian's expression turned ugly. He immediately took out the computer and contacted someone. Scholar Fong 1. The first group of people he met when he arrived at the chaotic continent was from Haotian City. At that time, he had a long chat with Scholar Fong 1, an expert from the sage bloodline of Haotian City. The other party even gave him some calligraphy and paintings as a gift. Both of them had a good chat, and Wang Xian learned a lot from him. However, more than half of Haotian City was destroyed. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. After the message was sent, time ticked by and there was no reply. Wang Xian closed his eyes and waited. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 10 days later, there was still no reply. Prime Minister Turtle, send someone to Haotian City to investigate a person called Scholar Fong 1. Wang Xian instructed calmly. He flew out of the grotto heaven and contacted Orochi and the rest immediately. He could not wait any longer. Chapter 3460. Did the 100 Cities Alliance really think that the Dragon Palace could wipe them out easily? Did they really think that they could disregard the Dragon Palace? Their actions showed that they really thought so. He had casually destroyed more than half of Haotian City to deter the other neutral clans from letting the disciples of Dragon Palace enter. They had completely disregarded the Dragon Palace. Perhaps they had done so much to deal with the divine dragon bloodline possessors. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he flew out quickly. Messages were sent to him from the 8-branched devilish fiend. Wang Xian wasn't sure if Scholar Fangwen of Haotian City was dead. But based on the situation in Haotian City, at least millions of innocent people had died because of the Dragon Palace. Because the Dragon Palace members were in Haotian City, the 100 Cities Alliance had destroyed half of the city and annihilated the Dragon Palace members. They had no qualms about doing so. Perhaps it was because Haotian City was too weak. Compared to the 100 Cities Alliance, Haotian City could be easily crushed. Phew, since you have destroyed half of Haotian City, I will annihilate a city of the 100 Cities Alliance and make you pay the price. Wang Xian was filled with murderous intent. Previously, even when they annihilated Great Marquis City, they didn't hurt the civilians. They only killed the experts of the other side. But the 100 Cities Alliance didn't care and annihilated half of the Haotian City members. In that case, Wang Xian had nothing to worry about. In his plan, he only needed to wait for the 8-branched devilish fiend, and the rest to slowly corrode the inner city of the 100 Cities Alliance. They could annihilate 2 to 3 cities in a few years. How long could the 100 Cities Alliance last? They couldn't hold on for long. But now that half of Haotian City was destroyed and Scholar Fangwen's fate was unknown, he was thoroughly enraged. Since he wanted to kill, he would kill. Let's see if they could still be so arrogant. Whoosh. 5 days later, Wang Xian entered the city and opened the message sent by the 8-branched devilish fiend. The 8-branched devilish fiend had parasitized a pinnacle supremacy expert in the city. The 8-branched devilish fiend was located in Old Star City of the 100 Cities Alliance, while the devilish fiend was in Tianyi City. Old Star City was dominated by a type of demonic beast. They were called Old Star demonic beasts. They were extremely bloodthirsty and could be ranked top 15 in the 100 Cities Alliance. The Old Star City had 3 first-order sovereigns. The reason why the Orochi chose this city was because the entire race was a soldier, and because they had many bounty hunters. Buzz. Through the teleportation formation, Wang Xian arrived at Old Star City in no time. A murderous and bloodthirsty aura swept over as Wang Xian swept his gaze across the surroundings. This was a blood-red world, and the surrounding buildings were all blood-red in color. Even the clouds in the sky were blood-red. The entire city was huge, and there were experts and disciples of various races in it. Naturally, there were many humans as well. Many darkness elemental cultivators would cultivate here. Wang Xian walked out of the teleportation formation and headed straight for the center of the city. Yamada no Orochi was already making preparations. Half an hour later, he arrived in front of the City Lord's mansion. The entrance to Old Star City's City Lord's mansion was a gigantic beast skull. This skull was at least 100,000 meters wide, and from afar, it looked majestic and gave off a powerful might. The skull at the entrance of the City Lord's mansion belonged to a first-order sovereign realm wild beast. Dragon King, the blessed grotto heaven of Old Star City is inside. However, we haven't received any news about the 3 first-order sovereigns in the city. Their blessed grotto heaven is defensive in nature. Orochi walked out. At this moment, he was residing in the body of an expert in the Old Star City. He had considerable authority and knew many things. All right. Send someone to shut down the teleportation formation. We'll attack immediately. Wang Xian said with a murderous look. Yes, Dragon King. A legion of the Old Star City is just ahead. These are the elites of the city. Orochi said. Then his figure slowly disappeared and he left. He would not participate in the upcoming battle. With Wang Xian's strength alone, he could destroy an entire city. Boom. The moment Orochi disappeared, Wang Xian made his move and flew towards the sky ahead instantly. True Dragon Body. Mighty Heavenly Dragon. Divine Dragon playing with pearls. Dark Ghost Doppelganger. Perish. At this moment, Wang Xian appeared in the sky above the city lord residence. He quickly transformed into a dragon of darkness, exuding terrifying energy. The strongest law of attack, Dark Ghost Doppelganger. Other than the 5 elements grindstone, this was Wang Xian's strongest attack. In an instant, the entire space was enveloped by the terrifying dragon might. That terrifying energy swept out in all directions. Buzz buzz buzz. Ring ring ring. When Wang Xian's energy surged, the defensive array of the Old Star City was activated automatically. The alarm of the entire Old Star City went off immediately. Below the city lord residence, the 2 demonic beasts opened their eyes. They were blood-red in color, about the size of a human, and had razor-sharp arms. They raised their heads, and a trace of fear appeared in their eyes. This is the power of a second-order sovereign. They roared as a wave of energy surged into the ground. They were going to activate the defense of the blessed grotto heaven. This is bad. Someone is attacking our Old Star City. What a terrifying aura. We're doomed. At this time, all the experts who were enveloped by Wang Xian's attack lifted their heads and shouted in horror. Boom. In the next moment, the terrifying energy landed on the ground, causing the entire Old Star City to tremble violently. Swoosh. Wang Xian transformed into a dragon of darkness, and the unbeginning saint wings appeared on his back as he flew away. He opened his dragon mouth, and countless obliteration flames fell on the ground. It's a divine dragon. A divine dragon is attacking our Old Star City. Run. 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 The sudden attack caught all the experts in the Old Star City off guard. All of them roared crazily. Their figures started to turn illusory as they tried to escape. Boom. However, all the experts and disciples in the Old Star City within a radius of a few billion kilometers couldn't escape. The obliteration flames fell, and all of them died. Within the Old Star City, no one could withstand Wang Xian's attack. Roar. He let out a roar and came to another place, where the obliteration flames were destroying everything. At this moment, Wang Xian seemed to have transformed into a world-destroying divine dragon, mercilessly attacking and killing. You're courting death. How dare you kill the disciples and citizens of our Old Star City? The 100 Cities Alliance will not let you off. At the City Lord residence, the defense of the blessed grotto heaven was activated. A first-order sovereign flew out from within the Old Star City. When he saw what was happening outside, his face changed drastically as he screamed in horror. Chapter 3461, Roar. How dare you kill our Dragon Palace's disciples and destroy half of Clear Sky City? From today onwards, our Dragon Palace's disciples will kill all the disciples and experts of the 100 Cities Alliance. All living beings in the 100 Cities Alliance will be treated as enemies of the Dragon Palace. When Wang Xian heard the voices coming from the blessed grotto heavens in Old Star City, he roared. This time, he did not hide anything and attacked as a member of the Dragon Palace. Waves of horrifying energy wreaked havoc across the entire city. Many experts and disciples of Old Star City did not manage to escape in time, and were slaughtered by Wang Xian. Under Wang Xian's terrifying speed, the entire city was destroyed. Damn it! Damn it! Dragon Palace, our Old Star City is irreconcilable with you. We won't rest until we die. Within the blessed grotto heaven's defenses, the 2 first-order sovereigns from the Old Star City roared. However, they did not dare to step out as they could sense Wang Xian's terrifying strength. They would be courting death if they stepped out. Now, they could only watch helplessly as their city was destroyed and countless of their people were killed. They could only helplessly relay the news back to the 100 Cities Alliance. As time ticked by, a sea of gray flames rose within the Old Star City. 10 minutes later, the entire city was reduced to ruins. The sounds of attacks disappeared. Too fast. Too fast. Didn't they say that there were no second-order sovereigns in the Dragon Palace? Why do I feel that the one who invaded our city is even more terrifying than a second-order sovereign? Within the blessed grotto heaven's defenses, the 2 first-order sovereigns from the Old Star City had ugly expressions on their faces. Their bodies trembled violently. Their city was destroyed in such a short period of time. Their home had been completely wiped out. Did the Alliance chief reply? Are the experts from the Alliance here? One of the experts asked with an ugly expression. The experts from the Alliance are here, but it's useless. He was too fast and the teleportation array was destroyed. How did he enter the city so easily? The other expert shook his head. What? What the hell happened? How did this happen? Our city has been destroyed. Within the defense of the Blessed Enclave, some of the cultivators who were cultivating in seclusion had just received the news. They flew out and looked at the ruins outside, and their bodies trembled violently. It won't end so easily. All of you die. All of a sudden, a voice that shocked everyone rang out. The two First-Order sovereigns from the Old Star City turned around and roared in disbelief. Poo-pee-you. In the next moment, they saw a figure flash past their eyes, and their vitality rapidly drained away. How was this possible? How did he get into the Blessed Enclave's defenses? When these two thoughts disappeared, they had already turned into corpses. 10 seconds later, the entire Blessed Enclave fell silent. Go, Wang Xian whispered. Enlai's figure appeared and disappeared with him. An hour later, he arrived at an extremely distant place. This was the first time Wang Xian had been to this place, and he had no idea where it belonged. Hehe. Although it is a bit risky, it is very satisfying. I am interested to see if your 100 Cities Alliance will still be as arrogant as before. Wang Xian smiled faintly and looked at the map. The land of demon bones? He looked at the information on the AI's map, and was slightly taken aback. The land of demon bones was a location at the edge of the pinnacle race of the universe, the skeleton race. It was rumored that this place was the site of a great war in the previous era. Countless corpses were buried here, and the corpses had turned into bones over time. Some experts had once dug down for millions of kilometers, but they still found corpses. Moreover, most of the corpses had lost their energy and were only left with great hardness. Because they had lost all kinds of energy, they were not much different from firm rocks. However, among these corpses some still contained energy, and these corpses were known as demon bones. Some demon bones developed sentience and became skeletons. There were also demon bones that did not develop sentience, and became demon skeletons that only knew how to kill and think. Some demon bones were refined into treasures that possess great offensive power. This was a land of treasures, but also a dangerous place. However, according to the information on the AI, this place was frequented by sorcerers and dark attribute experts. Within the land of demon bones, there were several powerful races and factions. One of them was from the sorcerer lineage, and it was extremely terrifying. I can take a look around. If I can get some demon bones, I can upgrade the Tai Chi Dragon Plate. Wang Xian thought to himself. After flying out of the Old Star City, he did not return to the blessed grotto heaven at the water of the heavens, although it was very safe there. But this time, when he came out, he had the idea of improving. If he could make another breakthrough, he could go head-on with the 100 Cities Alliance. Let's take a look ahead. Wang Xian looked at the map and flew towards the edge of the land of demon bones. Just as Wang Xian stepped into the land of demon bones, the AI located in the region of the 100 Cities Alliance was in an uproar. The Old Star City was destroyed, and countless disciples and experts were killed. Even 2 First-Order sovereigns were killed. This caused a huge commotion. During this period of time, the 100 Cities Alliance was incomparably strong. Not long ago, they killed a few disciples of the Dragon Palace in a small city, and even destroyed half of the city. Although they apologized, it was clearly a warning to the other neutral factions to prohibit the disciples of the Dragon Palace from entering. Otherwise, they would have to bear the consequences. This made many disciples and citizens of the 100 Cities Alliance proud. This represented the strength and foundation of the 100 Cities Alliance. Ever since the 100 Cities Alliance said that they were going to destroy the Dragon Palace was suppressed, and their disciples were killed. This made the disciples and citizens of the 100 Cities Alliance think that the Dragon Palace was just SOSO. Offending them was simply courting death. But today, when the news of the Old Star City being destroyed spread, all the disciples and citizens of the 100 Cities Alliance trembled violently. How is this possible? The Dragon Palace destroyed another city of our 100 Cities Alliance, and this time, they didn't even spare the citizens. There were countless casualties. What's going on? How did they do it? There aren't many universe sovereigns in the Old Star City, but in terms of disciples and army, they can be ranked top 15 in the 100 Cities Alliance. How could they be destroyed so quickly? The disciples of the 100 Cities Alliance discussed in disbelief. Chapter 3462. Old Star City was annihilated. A huge city, a powerful high-ranking clan. In a short few minutes, it was completely annihilated. This caused everyone to be extremely shocked. Didn't the 100 Cities Alliance kill Dragon Palace's disciples easily? Wasn't Dragon Palace easily suppressed? How did another city of the 100 Cities Alliance get destroyed? What's going on? Didn't the 100 Cities Alliance look down on Dragon Palace? Didn't Dragon Palace not put up any resistance? Now another city got annihilated? Compared to the shock and fear of the 100 Cities Alliance, the other factions were even more shocked. Ever since they found out that Eternal Sky City was annihilated by Dragon Palace, the 100 Cities Alliance had never put Dragon Palace in their eyes. Dragon Palace was easily suppressed and some Dragon Palace's disciples were easily killed. The experts and disciples of the mainland's forces also thought so. But now, Old Star City had been annihilated by Dragon Palace's experts. This was shocking. Old Star City was definitely not weak in the 100 Cities Alliance. Furthermore, it had 2 First Order Universe Sovereigns personally guarding it. Now, 2 First Order Universe Sovereigns were killed, and the city was annihilated. The Dragon Palace's experts had escaped easily. If Dragon Palace could annihilate Old Star City, did that mean they could annihilate other cities too? Was Dragon Palace a place they could kill so easily? The citizens of the 100 Cities Alliance also thought of this problem. Dragon Palace wasn't a place they could kill so easily. On the contrary, they wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. If one day, Dragon Palace's experts came to their city, they would be annihilated. The 100 Cities Alliance was originally a neutral faction. They formed an alliance to protect themselves. In essence, every city was neutral. But now their peace was completely shattered. They were passively participating in the war. This caused many citizens of the 100 Cities Alliance to be unhappy. They wanted the 100 Cities Alliance to give them an explanation as soon as possible. Some of the cities formed by different clans were more united. But most of the citizens of the 100 Cities Alliance lived in the cities because they were more peaceful and didn't participate in any wars. There was security. Now that there was no security, why would they still stay in the 100 Cities Alliance? Wouldn't it be better to go to other cities? Especially to the merchants. Alliance Master Old Star City was destroyed by Dragon Palace. At the same time, in the base of the 100 Cities Alliance, 5 experts of the 100 Cities Alliance flew to the mountain peak in the center and reported with ugly expressions. The Dragon Palace has a second-order universe sovereign? The leader of the 100 Cities Alliance opened his eyes and frowned. Yes, it's a dark divine dragon. Its strength is extremely terrifying, and it destroyed Old Star City in a very short period of time. Right now, some people in our 100 City Alliance are panicking, afraid that their cities will be attacked. The old man in the lead said. The 100 Cities Alliance was different from some other races. The races were very united. The cities of the 100 Cities Alliance attracted disciples and experts through neutrality and peace. If the peace was gone, the foundation would fall apart. Dark Dragon? Did he erase his aura? The leader of the 100 City Alliance asked. No, the people we sent haven't arrived yet. The crowd shook their heads. I'll go there myself. The Alliance Lord of the 100 Cities Alliance slowly stood up and said coldly. He was 12 meters tall, with the head of a divine dragon and the tail of a golden dragon. His body was like a human, but on his chest, there were many terrifying eyes. Each eye was the size of a human's head. So, the leader of the 100 City Alliance disappeared, but the 5 experts did not follow him. With their speed, they couldn't catch up. One day later, the 100 City Alliance's leader appeared in the sky above Old Star City. On his chest, the eyes scanned the area below. There were ruins below, but the eyes seemed to be able to see through time. Soon, one of the dozen or so eyes on his chest slowly turned pitch black. On it, there was a divine dragon. He stretched out his palm. It was an abnormally terrifying claw, with sharp thorns and strange suction cups on it. He grabbed the eye on his chest and forcefully plucked it off. His figure started to turn illusory. Very quickly, he appeared at the base of the 100 Cities Alliance. Within that mountain peak, 5 figures were still waiting there. Leader. When they saw the leader of the 100 Cities Alliance return, they immediately greeted him. Red Eye, take this eye of mine, find that black dragon and kill it. The leader of the 100 Cities Alliance handed his eye to the expert with the eye on his head. Yes, leader. I'll go now. Red Eye looked passionate when he saw the eye. Not only did the eye have powerful divine powers, but it also had a part of the leader's power. There's no hurry. I'll contact the experts of the sacred dragon bloodline and ask them to send experts with you. The Dragon Palace is obviously the enemy of the sacred dragon bloodline. They must help. The leader of the 100 City Alliance added. Yes. Red Eye nodded. Also, inform all the city lords of the 100 Cities Alliance to set up a special teleportation formation. If any city is in danger, ask for help immediately. The leader of the 100 City Alliance ordered. Yes. The 5 experts of the 100 Cities Alliance immediately responded and left quickly. The leader of the 100 Cities Alliance looked in the direction they left and fell into deep thought. The 100 Cities Alliance was in an uproar as experts and disciples from various races discussed. At this moment, Wuxia had arrived at the land of Devil Bone. It's hard to imagine what kind of war could produce so many horrifying skeletons. Wuxia hovered above the edge of the land of Devil Bone, looking down in shock. At a glance, there were all kinds of skeletons. Even for millions of kilometers below, there were only skeletons with no end in sight. According to records, a First-Order Universe sovereign would need about 10 years to fly across the land of Devil Bone. How vast was this region? Why were there so many skeletons here? What kind of war happened here? Any expert who came here would have such a thought. It was too shocking. Some said that the land of Devil Bone was once a battlefield of the cataclysm. Wuxia mumbled to himself as he thought of some guesses about the land of Devil Bone. This was also the closest guess to the answer. Every cataclysm was a calamity for all life. When the cataclysm began, even the pinnacle races in the universe would be annihilated. In fact, it would be considered good if half of the pinnacle races were still alive from the start to the end of each cataclysm. Chapter 3463. The divine dragon race survived 2 catastrophes until they perished together with the insect race. In this era, the sage race, divine tiger race, skeleton race, and celestial nation race are the new pinnacle races in the universe. Wuxia thought about the catastrophes. What were catastrophes? They did not exist in Wuxia's legacy. However, he knew that they were terrifying catastrophes. The land of Devil Bones was most likely the battlefield of the catastrophes. Otherwise, even a war between 5 to 6 pinnacle races in the universe would not produce so many skeletons. Wuxia moved and landed on the ground. The skeletons on the ground were extremely hard. He scanned the ground with his dragon eyes, but could not see through too many skeletons. Ka. When he stepped on the skeletons, they made cracking sounds. Wuxia looked around. The entire world was like hell. Some skeletons were tens of thousands of meters in size, like half of a mountain. Some skeletons were piled together, forming a mountain of skeletons. There were also places that were sunken, forming a valley. At a glance, it was extremely desolate. Wuxia continued to fly towards the center. Swish, swish, swish. After flying for an hour, extremely sharp skeletons suddenly flew out from below. The skeletons covered Wuxia completely. Is it a devil skeleton or a skeleton? Or could it be a dark attribute expert? How dare you sneak an attack? Wuxia waved his arm and the skeletons fell down. Bam bam bam. The skeletons fell and made violent collisions. He looked down and raised his eyebrows slightly. Other than sensing something attacking him just now, all he saw were skeletons. It was as though the attack just now was an illusion. What a powerful concealment technique. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. The land of devil bones was extremely dangerous, because one could be attacked if one was not careful. The attack could be from the devil skeleton or some skeletons that had developed intelligence. Some people said that the skeleton race was born in the land of devil bones, but this was yet to be verified. However, it could be said that the skeletons that had developed intelligence could be considered a member of the skeleton race. It shouldn't be a dark attribute expert. Wang Xian scanned the area below calmly. From the attack just now, the attacker should be a pinnacle universe supremacy. It would be very difficult for a darkness attribute cultivator of this level to escape his detection. But now he couldn't sense it, so he could basically confirm that the other party was a demon skeleton or a skeleton. Demon skeletons and skeletons had powerful concealment abilities in the land of demon bones. They retracted their energy and blended into the skeletons, making it very difficult to discover them. Even if it was an area of effect attack, they would still dive downwards. It was very difficult to kill them. An idea popped up in Wang Xian's mind. Beside him, a figure that looked exactly like him appeared. Dark Ghost. Dark Ghost had the combat power of a second-order universe sovereign. Dark Ghost did not have a physical body, so he could pass through the withered bones. Once he was obstructed, that meant that the withered bones contained energy. This proved whether or not they were the demonic skeleton and skeletons. Roar! With a thought, the humanoid nether ghost transformed into a divine dragon and flew downwards. The huge figure directly passed through the skeletons. He stood above, his eyes scanning the area. Although the Dark Ghost clone didn't have the primordial sacred wings, it wasn't slow. Whoosh! Suddenly, when Dark Ghost's clone arrived in front of him, a piece of withered bone began to move and frantically flee. He found it. It should be a demon skeleton. Wang Xian moved his body and chased after the devil skeleton. With a flap of the primordial sacred wings, he immediately arrived above it and reached out to grab it. This was a bird-type demon skeleton, exuding a strong demonic aura. The bones on its body were abnormally sharp and emitted a black glow. Seeing that Wang Xian was about to grab him, Devil Skeleton lifted his claws and attacked him. Bam! A violent collision sounded, and Wang Xian grabbed it in his hand, immobilizing it. This demon skeleton is really a treasure. Wang Xian's eyes lit up when he felt its energy in his hand. This demon skeleton was like a weapon, but it was different. They could be classified as wild beasts. They had no intelligence and only knew how to kill. But because they were special life forms, they could be polished into weapons. The Tai Chi Dragon Plate could absorb them. TSK not bad. If I can encounter more demon skeletons, the Tai Chi Dragon Plate will be able to break through. He murmured. With a move, the Tai Chi Dragon Plate appeared and began to erase the energy of the demon skeleton and absorb it. Continue. He moved his body and continued to fly forward. Wang Xian wasn't arrogant enough to use himself as bait. If a third-order universe Lord Realm demon skeleton appeared below, he would be dead. According to rumors, there might be a universe Lord Realm demon skeleton here. Wang Xian was flying towards the territory of a race called the Spirit Demon Race. He wanted to get some information so that he could take action. Any living creature could enter the periphery of the Spirit Demon Race. There was a huge trading market there, and it was the only safe place in the land of demon bones. Experts from other places came to the land of demon bones. When they rested, they would come to the Spirit Demon Race. For the rest of the journey, Wang Xian wasn't attacked again. 5 days later, a huge special region appeared in Wang Xian's sight. It was an incomparably huge skeleton. This skeleton was like a giant as it stood there. This skeleton didn't have any energy and was just a skeleton. It was at least hundreds of thousands of meters tall. Standing there, it was full of power. We're here. Once we pass through this huge skeleton giant, we'll be in the territory of the Spirit Demon Race. No fighting is allowed in this region. Wang Xian looked at the symbol of the skeleton giant and murmured. He moved and entered the interior of the skeleton giant. The territory of the Spirit Demon Race didn't have any city walls to protect it. Wang Xian only saw other living creatures after entering for an hour. There were skeletons with glowing eyes. There were experts with dark attributes wrapped around their bodies. Some of them flew towards the outside, while others flew towards the inside. All of them were cold and silent, and they exuded an unapproachable aura. At the end of the day, this was the territory of skeletons. Skeletons weren't good at communication. Let's go in and see if there's any way to hunt more demon skeletons. Wang Xian looked ahead as he went deeper. A series of strangely shaped buildings appeared in his line of sight. These buildings were all built from dried bones. Some of the buildings were hundreds of thousands of meters tall. They were magnificent and unique. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.